pace. Books are not good. Win total's a tick too low. Knock it right over. Make playoff price tick too juicy. Bang it out. Postseason comes around on a tee. Knock their heads off.
I don't think the Steelers organization just makes a move to make a move. They have to have, it's like being in the book. You have to know what you're going to move the line to.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Talk about it failing and always putting the square peg into the round hole. We're going to run it. We're going to try and play these lower scoring games. They didn't score over 17 points in the 5 straight losses.
There's a chance for the Ravens to exercise every single demon on their way to a Super Bowl. But it also means the path is very difficult and things are only getting started.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST, Fantasy Sports Today. My name's Matt Stryker. His name's Joe Pisapia. Big shout out to Cool Hand Luke and TD Jake behind the glass. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 huge games on tap. We are going to dissect every single solitary way that we can collectively benefit. Really quickly, at SportsGrid TV. Those are our social media handles. Do yourself a favor, double check that you're following along. With that said, let me bring in the man, the one and only, the author of the Fantasy Black Book, Mr. Joey P. Joe Pisapia. Joe, a great day of football yesterday. We're excited for a great day of football today. I know you and the guys behind the glass have been keeping an eye on weather. Lots of things to look forward to and lots of things to dissect. What's up, my man?
Yes, not a lot of things to look forward to if you're a Lions fan anymore. Oh, my goodness. The poor Lions fans, such high expectations. This stinks for all of you. An incredible performance by Jaden Daniels. I can't wait to talk about it in the next segment. I know we're going to break down the games, but an upset, one of those games always goes sideways every single year. I don't know if everybody thought that would be the one last night to go sideways, and Dan Campbell is going to have to do a lot of soul searching here and think, did I have this team really mentally prepared? And I feel like mentally they were already in the Super Bowl. They watched, if you saw, I would say last night, the pregame stuff where he was talking, he looked like they were like, yeah, we're just going to clear sail through everything. I got to tell you, the vibe that I got was, we're the best team in football. No one's going to touch us. And that got them into a lot of trouble last night. So sometimes
you're saying arrogance doesn't work?
Well, it can, but here's the thing. Arrogance works when you've won, when you know what it takes to get to the mountaintop. I think that's okay. So far, the Lions have won nothing. Let's be honest. Winning the division, okay, that's cute. But, they have not gotten to a Super Bowl yet. They haven't won a Super Bowl yet. And they were acting a little bit like, they were at the very top of the mountain. And they're not. They're nowhere close to it. They're on the mountain. Maybe you could have that conversation, but certainly a tough pill to swallow last night. The Chiefs moving on, another team that, people continue to hate on. And you know what? They just find ways to win. People want to complain about the referees, all that other stuff. But we got a lot of other headlines to get to, including Matt Stryker signing with the Dodgers. That just broke as well. So now the Dodgers just have everybody. So, Matt, how does it feel to be part of all that deferred money that's coming down the pipe?
You know, folks, before we came on the air, all of us were discussing baseball because it's impending, it's coming. But Joe brings up a great point about the Lions and then tying it in with the Dodgers. Here's the thing, folks. You have to play the games. You have to go out there and play the games. We saw that with the Lions yesterday. We'll see that with the 2 games today. But with regards to the Dodgers, anything short of 162 wins and no losses and a sweep in every playoff series and then the World Series, to me, is a disappointment. Joe, we've talked about it. Last season, you said they were built for 162. Are they built for 7? And then I think I texted you and said, I don't even think they're built for 5. So that's something that we can shelve. We'll talk about in the coming weeks because we have a bit of a break from the football before the big game. But let's go right back into what matters today. How can we make money today? Not deferred money, money right now.
No, real money. We're going to do all of that. We got a lot of props to talk about here on the program today. We're going to hit all that. And of course, the division games continue to roll on today. We've got the Rams and the Eagles, and then the night game, the battle of the MVPs, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Who will be MVP? Who will win this football game? It feels like the Lamar Jackson revenge tour is in full swing. That's what it feels like to me. He is exercising the demons of you're not a good enough passer. He's exercising the demons of you're just a running back. He's exercising the demons of you can't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. But guess what? He beat them twice in the last month. And I think Lamar Jackson's looking up in Buffalo saying, yeah, I hear a lot of noise about Josh Allen being the most valuable player. That's my award. And I can't wait to see this game tonight. This is another marquee matchup. Hopefully it's even half as entertaining as last night's contest was. We've also got some head coaching stuff going on too that's going to impact the landscape of the NFL. To absolutely no one's surprise, the worst kept secret in all of football, Mike Vrabel, guess what? He's the head coach of the New England Patriots. And what does he bring with him? Well, a lot of cachet. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion as Titans head coach. He had a above 500 record, had a couple playoff wins there too. Took some, I would say, being polite, some mediocre rosters into the playoffs and made them relevant many times. And I think with the right support and the right people around him in the right environment, he could be a really good, game-changing, get you back to the mountain that we just talked about, right? The Patriots, they weren't even in the valley. I don't know where they were last year. But you need 2 things in this league. You need coach and you need quarterback. And the Patriots have the quarterback in Drake May. Now they have the coach in Mike Vrabel. You see more reports coming out about Gerard Mayo and some of the process and some of the decisions that he was making and some of the cultural issues too that were going on where, he was playing cards with the guys instead of watching tape with the coordinators after games and tough losses and things like that. And I don't think that screams that you're ready for the big time in that job. So maybe Gerard Mayo will get another shot somewhere else, maybe a defensive coordinator position, but it's a learning experience for him. But in the meantime, Mike Vrabel is a huge addition here. We all know this is what Robert Kraft wanted. This is what Mike Vrabel wanted. As Patriot fans, I can speak for the nation. This is what we wanted. We wanted Mike Vrabel to be back with us. And it seems like a very happy marriage and hopefully one that is going to bring the Patriots back to relevancy. And on top of all that, they got a top 5 pick. So it's going to be fascinating to see where they go from here. But Matt, it does feel like the Patriots are on that precipice of turning things around and getting back to the island of relevancy.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think the draft will tell us a lot, but there's also some impending wide receivers that could end up in Foxborough. A guy like T. Higgins would fit in wonderfully, and I think these are the things, that's that last cherry on top for the Patriots fans, Joe.
Yeah, and they have the most cap space of anybody else, too. So maybe it's a T. Higgins. There's also some rumblings. A.J. Brown not been too happy with how things have gone in Philadelphia. Mike Vrabel never wanted to trade A.J. Brown in the first place with the Titans. So who knows? Perhaps a reunion between coach and wide receiver. We'll, of course, keep you updated on all those moves as they happen this offseason. Also on the move, most likely Sam Darnold. A very disappointing end to what was a Cinderella season. We went from you going to a spot where you were playing for that division, that number 1 seed, to losing, to going to the 5 spot, to being out of the playoffs in the first round. So it was a very fast tumble for Sam Darnold, unfortunately. You look at the stats for the last 2 games, not great. 53% completion percentage, just 411 yards. But the big one here, he took 11 sacks for minus 106 yards. So you can talk about offensive line. At the end of the day, a lot of this is on Sam Darnold, holding the ball too long, not making quick enough decisions here against the elite teams. Now, J.J. McCarthy, a younger quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, a more athletic quarterback. J.J. McCarthy is going to now get that opportunity. Sam Darnold will also get an opportunity somewhere because it's not the best quarterback class. There was a lot of bad quarterback play. You could see a lot of coordinators saying, all right, Kevin O'Connell definitely fixed what was going on with Sam Darnold. Does he still have some warts? Yeah. Is he better than what we have in-house? I think the answer is absolutely. So I believe he's going to be a starter in the league next year. I don't think it's going to be in Minnesota with the way things ended, which is unfortunate because it was a heck of a ride. But Matt, do you think Sam Darnold will be a starter, or will he be fighting for a job somewhere in 2025?
Well, it's a great question, and it's a commentary on the society in which we live. Everyone is going to forget what Sam Darnold did for 15 or 16 weeks, and they're only going to point to what he didn't do in 1 or 2 games. With that said, I think that the NFL brass has a much clearer understanding of the world, as the fandom and the social media people of the world do. So I think Darnold definitely finds a place somewhere. I think he can help a lot of teams. And again, I just don't think we should forget about what he did throughout the entire season just because recency bias says, he stinks. He doesn't. Joe.
No, and certainly a lot of teams looking for quarterbacks right now, too. You got the New York Giants looking for a quarterback. You've got right now looking at the Cleveland Browns, probably continuing to search for a quarterback. Now they have a high draft pick. Do they want to take a quarterback? Do they like these quarterbacks good enough at the top here? Same with the Tennessee Titans. Or do they say, yeah, we'd rather sign a Darnold and go draft a Travis Hunter or somebody like that at the top of the draft? So there's going to be a lot of speculation and a lot of intriguing things to happen this offseason. But we've still got plenty of playoff season to go. And we're going to recap last night's games. Yesterday, the Houston Texans gave it all they had, came up a little short with the Chiefs, and Jaden Daniels emerging as a potential MVP in this league. How good was Jaden Daniels last night? We're going to talk about it when we return. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia getting you ready for 2 huge games coming up. But in order to understand where we're going, we have to look back at where we've been. Let's look at Saturday's recap, Joe. And I want to start with something that I know you call loser talk. But I think opinion is not currency, and we can spend it any way we want. First and foremost, I know and I hear everyone complaining about the referees with the Chiefs. I watch the games, and I got to be honest, sometimes I turn my head like a dog that heard something in the distance. But overall, calls are calls. You've said that. What grates me is when Travis Kelce has to dance and gesticulate after an innocuous first down. Like, act like you've been there before. And ESPN, I understand who you are and for whom you work, but do you need to constantly flash to the crowd to show me who's there? I get it. I know she's there. But I think I speak for a lot of people that just want to watch football. They don't want to watch all the pageantry and stuff. Now, here's the thing, Joe, and I'll turn it over to you.
Did you do that when you cared about Jack Nicholson at the Laker game? Just curious. With Jack Nicholson was at the Laker games, does that really bother you?
One thing has nothing, but was Magic Johnson out there postulating and gesticulating and constantly doing something after a free throw? No, he's Magic Johnson. Now, here's the point, Joe. Today, we'll have the Ravens and the Bills. That's going to be a football game. That's going to be X's and O's. I promise you. Also, I don't think it's on ESPN. You're not going to see these guys dancing after a first down. To me, as a father, as an athlete, and as a coach, act like you've been there before. You're acting like a petulant child. I'm off my soapbox, Joe. Take it away.
Ooh, okay. Well, this was a very salty soapbox. You know, Travis Kelce has been there. In fact, he's been there more than anybody else. So he can dance all he wants because he's dancing on the graves of everybody else in the AFC. And I'm going to tell you this much. This is fun. This feels like, where's Stephen A? Is Stephen A here? I don't know. I'm looking around
these
for
are actual conversations, not scripted outrage.
Seven receptions, 117 yards, right? And tying Jerry Rice for records in the playoffs, right? So yeah, you could dance and do whatever.
Did Jerry Rice ever do a shoulder shimmy? No, he was an athlete and a man.
Yeah,
and
but here's the thing.
Travis Kelce has no
so
class.
is Barry Sanders, and there's a lot of class in that, and there's a lot of it, and it's also okay to play sports and have fun. You know what? You know who did a lot of dancing? You know who did a lot of dancing and antics? Randy Moss. If I could tell you on Randy Moss or Jerry Rice, I'll tell you what. You take Jerry Rice, I'll take Randy Moss, and I guarantee you we're gonna have a competitive game. How's that?
Great. I'll still win. Jerry Rice's hands. And look, we can have this conversation about Jordan and LeBron. Jerry Rice. You're saying Jerry Rice, who is an icon. I'll take him every day. My point is this, Joe. These are grown men that have children watching them. And sports has become very infantilized. We have a whole generation of men that play video games and sit around and argue about sports. I mean, this is what we're doing. But at the end of the day, kids are watching. Be a role model, okay? Be a professional. You see how Andy Reid acts? Andy Reid is stoic all the time. Travis Kelce is the polar opposite. That's just my point. That's all. It has nothing to do with football. He's great. I just don't like his antics. From the neck up, I don't like the guy.
Well, this is
so anyway, the Texans and Chiefs were a great game.
Well, I mean, I guess here's the other part of it. I hope you enjoy your 4:30 early bird special tonight, and you get that nap in because I'm sure it's going to be a long time. Look, I'm all for guys not showing up the other team, but I'm also not anti you having fun playing the game, because as somebody who's coached a lot of youth sports in the last couple of years, I can tell you this: when the kids are having a good time, they play better. Now, I never want to show up the other team. In fact, we had a game last week where a kid spiked the ball in our end zone and got a flag for it. You're not allowed to do that kind of stuff in the youth leagues, right? And I came back with all my team and I said, they just spiked the ball in your end zone. And guess we came back and won that football game, and it was magical, right? And they were having fun doing it. So having fun, taunting people different, having a good time playing the game and enjoying yourself and what you do like we do every week, I don't think there's a problem in that at all. I smile, I'm dancing, I'm singing, I'm having a good time. Maybe I'm not Bob Costas, but I am taller, which is not saying a lot.
How are you?
Because I'm not very tall, but I'm taller than Bob Costas. All right, let's get to the games here. Let's get to the Texans here and talk more about Travis Kelce's incredible game, because this is it. This is the swan song for Travis Kelce. This is probably going to be the last run, I think, win or lose for him, to tell you the truth, because he is a player that's lost a step and hasn't had a great season. But yesterday, he had a great game. 7 catches for 117 and a touchdown. Mahomes makes an incredible, as he's getting tackled, throw to him. CJ Stroud played valiantly. Terrible missed field goal in a spot where I think they were crazy to go for a field goal and 55 yards in the weather with a kicker from the indoors. That's a crazy idea. It was a stupid decision. I was doing the game live on Betting Pros while we were going through it. I was saying this is a terrible idea. My co-host was saying it was a terrible idea, and it was. And it felt like that was when the mojo started to change a little bit. So Stroud did everything he could there with what he was given. Mixon clearly not healthy. Stroud took some shots. There were times, too, where CJ Stroud should have just thrown balls away and instead was taking sacks and setting them back. That's something you're going to have to learn the hard way. And it's something last night you saw Jaden Daniels not do. I want to get to the other game because Jaden Daniels was spectacular. You want to talk about, mobile quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson was a mobile quarterback when he came into the league, he did not have nearly the passing acumen that Jaden Daniels has. We're talking about a guy you can visually see making the first read, the second read, and then looking for that third guy already as a rookie. We're talking about Jaden Daniels rushing the football and being smart enough to get out of bounds and not take some shots when he didn't have to. We're talking about Jaden Daniels picking apart on the road in an incredibly tough environment, an environment that was so loud you could barely hear the announcers at times. Yeah. This was incredible. And you can't turn the football over 5 times and win. Dan Campbell will be the first guy to tell you that. Jared Goff did not play well. Yes, did he get his bell rung? He absolutely did. Should have been a penalty. Maybe. You could talk about that. I always feel like once you throw the football, you're not a quarterback anymore. You're a defensive player. So if you're going to go there trying to make a tackle and you get hit, that's called football. But the third interception there, the death knell, and clearly a very disappointing end to what was a great game for Jahmyr Gibbs, a great season for the Detroit Lions. But at the end of the day, the Washington Commanders, I talked about Dan Quinn coming into this season. I said, when you give good head coaches a second chance, typically they get it that second time around. And he's a really good coach. And Dan Quinn right now and the Commanders look like a team that is going to be super dangerous next week in the NFC Championship game. Our rookie of the year going into the year was Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, my friends, is going to win an MVP in this league. Get ready for it, because last night was the national stage, and no stage is too big for that kid. It is a very exciting time to be a Commanders fan. And for the Lions, oh, it's very sad, but more misery awaits. Now, can you climb back up the mountain and scratch and claw? We'll find out this offseason. We come back, more FST, a look ahead at today's DFS slate.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, folks, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Now, in the previous segment, Joe and I had discourse. We had conversation. And someone said, where's Stephen A? And I quipped, no, this isn't scripted outrage. This is actual discourse. Joe, in this day and age, discourse is dead. No one can offer a dissenting opinion without being attacked. And I think that, to me, is a shame. When we talk about DFS plays now, this is all about dissenting opinions. But you do such a fantastic job of clearing out the waters, unmuddying them, if you will. Today's DFS slate is very intriguing. Why don't you walk us through it?
Well, let's walk across the bridge first, because I think there's something we both agree on, which is when you catch a first down, you're down by 20-something points, and you're doing a dance, that would drive me nuts. And it does drive me nuts. And we see that on a weekly basis. A guy get a sack in a game where his team's getting their ass kicked. That I totally agree with. But if you're in the moment of a playoff game and you're catching first downs and the crowd is with you and the adrenaline of the moment, yeah, can you just catch the first down and get back to the huddle? Sure. You want to do a little dance. You want to get everybody fired up. You want to be having a good time. I'm okay with that. So to me, it's about that coming together of the moment at the right time. But when you're behind and you're showboating, to me, that is unforgivable. Would you agree on that? Can we all agree that that's probably the worst of what you're talking about in the last segment?
Well, that embodies selfishness. If I'm down by 20 points and I made a play and I jump up and down, hey, look at me, that's selfish. My issue with Kelsey, is just find it very effeminate when a man kind of shimmies his shoulder. Eddie Guerrero could get away with it, but Travis Kelsey.
I was just going to say, Matt Stryker, I've seen you shimmy. And you got a hell of a shimmy. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to go that route. I can find some tape. I'm sure the producers are going to find some shimmy tape of Matt Stryker. Shimmying away.
Getting paid high six figures every year to do it. Why
not? And so is Travis Kelsey. Let's go to DFS. Let's talk about these
is a scripted sport of pro wrestling when I'm entertainer. The NFL is not supposed to be scripted. The entertainment should be the game.
Matt, don't tell everybody. They think it's scripted. Don't get upset. All right, let's talk about DFS because I don't want to go looking for that footage of you, and I know the producers certainly don't. All right, let's talk about the game today. Now there is going to be some weather impacting Philadelphia. How that's going to impact some of these totals, some of the unders, and things like that too. You're going to see numbers start to move because of this weather. That's going to be impacting the East Coast here and New Jersey and Philadelphia areas. So I'm going to start with the running backs here. Derrick Henry, top of the board, to nobody's surprise. 9,300, of course he is. Right behind him there, Saquon Barkley. Super expensive, both these guys. Kyron Williams at 7,700 is intriguing. James Cook, I'm worried about. Tough defense there for the Baltimore Ravens, a team that has been tough against the run all year long. So what do I want to do? I want to spend on Derrick Henry. You know why? Because Derrick Henry is playing out of his mind right now. He is playing like a man on a mission who wants his ring. And the king, when he wants his ring, cannot be denied. This is a guy that wants to sit on the throne right now. And he is taking the swords and helmets of 1,000 other players that he's running over. And he's going to make a big, giant Game of Thrones style throne. And he's going to sit in it, I think, pretty soon because he looks just tremendous right now. Ty Johnson, Justice Hill bringing up the rear here, guys who are flex plays or maybe RB2s. I'll say this, Derrick Henry at the top of that board with Justice Hill at 5,400, very intriguing to me. The wide receivers, again, the weather in Philadelphia. I'm fading Naku. I'm fading A.J. Brown at the top. I'm fading Cooper Kupp because he's been terrible anyway. Let's look for Rashad Bateman. Let's look for Khalil Shakir. And then start to take some rando shots here. The randos, and I'm talking the Mac Hollins of the world. I'm talking some secondary wide receivers here playing the high total games. When you come to the quarterbacks, you've got Josh Allen at the top of the board, followed by Lamar Jackson. I prefer Lamar. I think Hurts is interesting today too, because despite the weather, this is the guy that starts with the ball in his hand. All right, so the guy that starts with the ball in the hand is probably more likely to be rushing it a lot more than people might realize today. I like the over on him. More on that in hour two. Matthew Stafford, outdoor, in the elements, could be tricky. It's the oppo play, is to just go for a Rams upset in the weather and defy most of the logic that you would put on this. And that makes sense in tournaments to maybe have a lineup that's a Ram stack and very heavy where the Rams beat the Eagles and roll in bad weather. I don't think a lot of people see that coming. So it's the way to be different. And you can't be irresponsible because the Rams are a good team. Last but not least here, we got the tight ends. Dallas Goedert at the top of this board at 61. Mark Andrews at 59. I love the touchdown equity of Mark Andrews. The problem is here with these tight ends, I need some salary relief because I've got Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in my lineup. So I got to go to Isaiah Likely at 5,100. I think that is the way to look for a potential tight end touchdown, and that's what we're looking for. So Andrews is in. Likely could be in too. You can even play Likely as a flex play too if you want to be different and have the two tight ends. Just 2 games here on this Sunday slate, so it gets real tricky and it gets real pricey real fast. So be careful with that and make sure you DFS responsibly. When we come back, what do the teams that are out of it need to get back in it in 2025? We'll tell you right after this.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports. Today, I want to give a big tip of the cap to Joe Pisapia. This guy populates our show sheet each and every week. And Cool Hand Luke and TD Jake, they bring this thing to life. But I love this segment we're about to do, Joe. Eliminated teams and their needs. This is a lot of fun. I'm going to let you walk us through this. We have the Chargers, the Steelers, a lot of teams, a lot of talk, Joe. Let's go. Start with the Chargers.
Yes, this is the obligatory postmortem. This is what this is, where we're looking ahead to next year. So, first of all, it's tough to make the playoffs in the NFL. Let's just say that. And it's really tough when you take a team that was abysmal the year before and bring them in the playoffs. And that's what Jim Harbaugh did with the Chargers. And he changed the culture, I think, to a large degree. The Chargers have always been you roll your eyes. The Chargers are never good enough. They always fall short. And yes, they did lose last week. But to come from where they came from last year, where they were at the top of the draft, abysmal roster, cap hell, trading away Keenan Allen, right? Making all these moves, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a long rebuild. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because if you have coach and quarterback, you are in this thing. Now you need some more help. Clearly, Ladd McConkey was a good draft pick. He was our favorite sleeper wide receiver going into the season. I say we'd have 100 catches. He fell a little short, but he did miss a couple games. But Ladd McConkey is a stud. I think we could all agree on that. However, they need some more help at the wide receiver position, and that's where I want to start. Outside wide receiver, will they go in the draft for it? We'll see. Quentin Johnston's not that guy, so they need somebody to play on the outside. That's the first thing that I want to give the Chargers this offseason. Also, help with the guards. They've got the tackles. The tackles are fine, but what you saw the Texans last week do is exploit the guards. There was a lot of pass rush, a lot of stunts there where you're running up the middle there trying to get pressure, and they did. So they're going to have to continue to fortify this offensive line. You've got the quarterback. You've got some issues there. You'd like to see some running back durability there too. So it'll be fascinating to see where they go with that. Dobbins is a free agent, so they bring him back. It's a very running back heavy draft. So my guess is they draft a running back, and they're going to continue to be a very heavy run team. I think that's what Harbaugh wants to do, make this a tougher spot here. But they also need some help at tight end too. I don't know if Will Dissly is necessarily the answer here, but I think having those different levels of the offense will go a long way. But certainly for Herbert, getting him that outside threat. McConkey's great in the slot. McConkey's your go-to guy, and that's great. But you do need somebody who can win on those third downs, win in the red zone, win in the end zone. And Quentin Johnson just not reliable enough to do that. So those are my needs, Matt. What do you think of the needs of the Chargers? What do you think is the biggest priority? Is it the wide receiver, or is it the guard play, or maybe even a running back too? You might want to give them, because it is a Harbaugh and Roman offense after all.
You are the author of the Fantasy Black Book. You sit down and you write the quarterback profiles yourself. So I think the guard play is the most important thing. You have now said 4 times on this show in separate independent segments that you need the coach and you need the quarterback. The guards need to protect the quarterback, because if not, who's the quarterback? But I'd like to hear some names I like when you do say, oh, they need a tight end. This guy may fit in. That's a lot of fun for me. Let's do that with the Steelers now, because you say they need a quarterback. People say, what about Justin Fields? So let's start there.
Well, your quarterbacks are all free agents, so you're going to have to sign one of them, because right now you don't have a quarterback on this team. And that was, again, the tragic flaw to me when it came to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. So you have a 36-year-old quarterback and a 26-year-old quarterback. And I understand you didn't think you were going to get a chance to get the 26-year-old quarterback. But once you did, and once you got thrust in a position to start him, and once you were 4-2 with that quarterback, who cares about the playoffs? Figure out if this is the guy you want to be the future of your franchise. This was a guy who was playing for national championships at Ohio State. What, just because he had a couple bad rounds with the Bears? The Bears were supposed to give up on him as a talent? It's ludicrous. It's absolutely, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. How's it going for Caleb Williams with his development at the end of the year? How'd that go with the Bears organization? So let's not pin it all on Justin Fields, because every quarterback needs good development teachers around him when they transition to the NFL. Part of what's happening with Jaden Daniels is the fact that he's got Cliff Kingsbury around. And we can have differing opinions, and I know there's a lot out there on Cliff Kingsbury's pluses and minuses, but I think he understands the quarterback play. And I think Jaden Daniels is benefiting a lot from Cliff Kingsbury being around. So that being said, the Steelers really need to figure out quarterback first and foremost, because they have coach, I think. I don't think Tomlin's going anywhere, but maybe it is time for a change. More on that later, but they definitely need more wide receiver help too. And they're going to need running back help too, because Najee Harris and Jalen Warren both are going to walk possibly. So now all of a sudden you're looking at a completely revamped offense. And are you trusting Arthur Smith to be that guy to revamp that offense? Matt, to me, that is the biggest problem here for the Steelers, is there's just so many questions, right? So many questions, and there's no answers on personnel. I've heard the rumors about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams coming in. You want to talk about sideshows? Man, that is a sideshow. I could see people trying to chase after those guys with terrible towels after 2 weeks. It would not be the situation I think anybody would be looking for. So quarterback, massive problem. And the fact that they weren't willing to step back 1 year as an organization to figure that out it's unforgivable for me. I think it's going to set the Steelers back 5 years.
I think it's ill-advised to let Warren walk. We talked about Jalen Warren earlier in the year along with Jalen Wright from Miami, and it never kind of really happened, but I think Jalen Warren would be a guy that they would want to keep around. Let's go to the Broncos here. Denver surprised everybody. Joe, you're saying running back, tight end, and back safety. So where should we start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, great corner, all-world corner. They've got some edge rushers there. Safety is a spot they could tighten up, too. So they're going to look for that in the draft. I think that's probably what they're going to be drafting first and foremost. You will see them at some point in the second or third round, I think, look for a running back, because Javonte Williams just hasn't really worked out. Jaleel McLaughlin, I don't think, is that dude necessarily. So you're going to be looking for a 3-down back or somebody that's really shifty. Will they move up for a guy like Genty? Probably not. I don't think Sean Payton will do that necessarily. We'll see. The Broncos are always in a tough spot every year too. But this is when you're looking at it, you know, the Chiefs' big run here again. They got a lot of competition with the Chargers. They got a lot of competition with the Broncos. This division is going to be really tough next year, especially if Kelsey does retire and depending on what kind of offseason they have. So keep a close eye on how tight this AFC West is going to be. But the good news is you've got the coach, you've got the quarterback. So I expect the Broncos to be back right in that playoff hunt next year. You got to address running back, you got to address safety, and maybe even look at a tight end too. Maybe even look at the free agent pool, see if there's somebody you can pick up to improve that, because a young quarterback always likes to have that tight end safety blanket. It goes a long way. I think that'll be very helpful for Bo Nix in year 2.
All right, let's pivot to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. You talk about coach and quarterback. Those both seem to be there, but what else do the Pack need?
No, they need a reliable wide receiver. So let's put this out there. It's a good wide receiver class, but you need a reliable one, whether it's free agency or in the draft, because continuing to play musical chairs with these guys, Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson, who's going to miss probably the opening of the season, and Jaden Reed, who's a nice talent but was inconsistent this year. You need a go-to guy, and that's why I keep circling Chris Godwin. Like, Godwin's a very reliable guy. Now, health-wise, again, a little tricky, but on the field, as reliable as it gets. He's a dog. That's what you're looking for. I think also the Packers should be looking for some edge rush help. Jair Alexander, I think, has lost a step, dealing with a lot of injuries too. Some cornerback help will go a long way. You need to get after the quarterback more if you're the Packers. That's what you need. And running back's going to be intriguing here. It's RB with a question mark, because is it a matter of Marshawn Lloyd just staying healthy and taking over next year? Or are we looking to, continue to extend Josh Jacobs? So LaFleur looked like he wanted to run the football a lot last year. Maybe that's because of the inconsistency of the wide receivers. I don't know. But they've got a lot of questions here on offense and defense that they have to address if the Packers are going to continue to compete in that incredibly competitive division.
All right. Watching the Vikings and seeing Sam Darnold, you gave a great stat. He was sacked for over 100 yards. I would think the Vikings' first need would be offensive line. What says you?
Yeah, offensive line is definitely a place that they want to go. They have that ability to do that in the draft and with the cap. And because they're going to be pivoting most likely to the young quarterback, you have to imagine too, when you're not paying your quarterback a lot of money, it frees up a lot of things. When you have to pay your quarterback $40 million, $50 million, and the fact that now they think they're like, all right, can we be competitive with Jake McCarthy like we were with Sam Darnold? Yeah. Long term, is it better to get McCarthy out there? And I think a lot of people would agree that McCarthy, if he was going into the draft this year, would probably be the number one quarterback on most people's boards. A little corner help would also help the Vikings. When we return, let's take a look at the numbers.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live today, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, welcome back into FST, Fantasy Sports Today. It is now time for everyone's favorite segment, FST by the numbers. Joe, I got to hand it to you, man. You pull out some really great nuggets that make me go, wow. So what do you have for us today?
All right, I want to talk a little bit more about the postmortem of the Chargers, because in the mix of all of the turnovers of Justin Herbert and the disappointment for the Chargers, there was an incredible performance in there from one lad McConkey. It was so good In fact, it's the best ever by a rookie in a playoff game. So I just want to shout out Ladd McConkey. 197 receiving yards, an incredible number. I had the over. I could have had the over twice. That's how good he was in that. I think it was like 87 or something like that, or it was 81 last week. Well, he did that. He did it more than once. He was incredible. And if you look at this trend, it's kind of interesting too, because you see it's a lot of recent rookies, which tells you about where the game is right now in terms of passing, in terms of rules, in terms of quarterback play, and things just really being much more wide open. So Ladd McConkey is the reigning champion now for rookies in a playoff game at 197. Puka Nacua just a year ago at 181. An incredible season for Puka Nacua. We'll see if he's got a big game in him today in what could be some really tricky elements. DK Metcalf, 160. He was third on this list. So again, these are guys in the last 10 years, so tells you a lot. Which was fun here is you had a Jeremy Maclin sighting here, 146, Keenan Allen at 142, and then Keith Jackson. Look at Keith Jackson at 142, also tied with Keenan Allen. So little yesteryear for you Eagles fans out there. Remember the Jeremy Maclin years and trying to forget as much Nelson Aguilar as you could. So Eagles are in a good spot here. The weather should favor the better defensive team, and I do think the Eagles are the better defensive team, but Jared versus the Rams get after it too. So this could be an underwhelming total maybe today, depending on how things work out. But just a terrific performance by Ladd McConkey, who, once again, I don't think got enough credit of how good he was. And when you see Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey leave the Georgia offense, how was that Georgia offense this year? Pretty inconsistent, right? When you lose those kind of guys. So it tells you just how good those guys were.
All right, this next one I found intriguing and then surprising. Most career rushing yards by a quarterback in the playoffs. Josh Allen was 609, Lamar Jackson was 602. They'll renew hostilities this afternoon. You can expect them both to run. They have a proclivity to do so. But the third name on the list really took me back. Steve Young, 594. Yeah. Amazing. Walk us through this, Joe.
And Steve Young in limited time, because Steve Young didn't get that starting job until he was much older. He played and toiled away with the USFL, and then toiled away there for a while with the Buccaneers, and then eventually took over the job for the 49ers. But you wonder, Steve Young in this modern day version of the NFL, I mean, he would be on every video game. The left-handed rushing quarterback, tough as nails. And to think also of how Steve Young's career was cut short and time on the field was cut short due to concussions, how the quarterbacks are protected now. You imagine Steve Young could have had a far more prolific career. The rushing quarterback was not something teams were looking for in the early 90s. It was not something you were really trying to push necessarily. It was like, hey, you sit back in the pocket, kid, and don't run around with the football too much. But that wasn't Steve Young. What's also incredible is that it's Allen and Lamar over 600 already for playoffs, the most ever rushing yards in the playoffs. And I have to imagine they've got more than one game in them, in the next couple of years. So this number could be well over 1,000 for whoever's on top. Don't you think, by the time things are said and done between Lamar and Josh Allen? I mean, I imagine the Ravens and the Bills are going to be good for a pretty long time. And we're looking at least half a dozen games between both of these guys, maybe another, 600 yards here, 500 yards. So you could really look for just some massive numbers here. And it really, once again, tells the tale of the difference of the NFL 25, 30 years ago to where the product is now. But what could have been for Steve Young in 2025 as a quarterback would be something I wish we could have seen.
All right, good stuff as always from you, Joe, and those numbers will make us think about our props, and we'll have those conversations a little later on. Now it's time for some tight end love. To whom are you throwing all of this adornment?
It's to Brock Bowers, man, who also made history this week. Brock Bowers was the only rookie to be named to the All-Pro team. Now, that doesn't happen very much for rookies or rookie tight ends. He's the first rookie tight end to actually earn that honor since Jeremy Shockey in 1992. Throw up the U, everybody. Let's go. Jeremy Shockey. But an incredible season for Brock Bowers. He finished as tight end 2 in the fantasy space. Next year, I think there's going to be a lot of people, depending on who the quarterback is of the Raiders, where people are going to start to look at Brock Bowers at spots 10, 11, 12, and I don't think that's wrong. Is he a first-round talent? Maybe. Do I love him early in the second round? Absolutely, because I think he is going to be a distinct advantage, and you can only assume that the quarterback play is going to be improved no matter who it is. It's pretty it's pretty bad to think that it might get worse year over year than Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew and a little Desmond Ridder sprinkled in there too. So I think the Raiders hopefully are going to take these draft picks, take this coaching search seriously, and try to rebuild this thing and put it in a better direction, because the Raiders have been toiling away for the most part for a very long time now. And you have to go back to the Gruden era before they were, like, I would say, really relevant here. Right. So that's a while now. So you're going to have to continue to push forward here. And Brock Bowers is going to be a huge part of that rebuild. He could be, when all is said and done, this next Travis Kelce, right? I mean, Kelce, we take him for granted, but he's had an illustrious career for over a decade, put up crazy numbers. Part of that, though, Alex Smith, but also Patrick Mahomes. So if he can get his Patrick Mahomes or even something in the middle, Brock Bowers could have a very special career ahead of him. But congratulations, All-Pro as a rookie, as a tight end. That does not happen very often.
All right, the next stat here, we have a long-tenured head coach and a stat going back to 2016. Who is it and what's the stat?
Well, this is about hard truths right now. And the truth is the Steelers haven't won a postseason game under Mike Tomlin since 2016. They are 0-5 since then, since 2016. Now, I know Ben Roethlisberger retired, but if we're going to keep it real here, the Steelers have been a team that is above 500, gets in the playoffs, and fails. And a lot of the early success from Tomlin was certainly, I think, a lot of players that were still left over from the Bill Cowher regime. I think we all would agree on that and understand that. The coaches in place, the players in place. And it comes to a certain point, too, where sometimes a coach just eventually needs a change. An organization needs to make a change. And he's been there a very long time. Look, who had more success than Andy Reid in Philadelphia, right? Took him to championship game after championship game. Eventually, they had to part ways, and it was best for both organizations. More on Mike Tomlin later in the show.
This Sunday, the Rams carry the weight of their city when they face the Eagles. Then it's a clash of MVP caliber quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. SportsGrid has you covered all day, starting at 8 a.m. with FST for daily fantasy lineups. Lock in your picks with Pro Football Today and stay dialed in with real-time betting on in-game live game day, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. Monday, Ohio State looks to overcome the luck of the Irish as Notre Dame eyes the trophy.
I can't even contain myself.
SportsGrid has you covered for the national championship. Start with Coast to Coast at 3 p.m., followed by game time decisions for last-minute picks. And stick around for in-game live all night for real-time betting action. Stay tuned to SportsGrid, your home for championship coverage.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia with you here. Remember, at SportsGrid TV, the easiest way to communicate with us. Sometimes we answer your questions right here on the air. Right now, it is time to take a deep dive into one of the best to ever do it. And Joe, I say it all the time, I hope people can stop and appreciate what they're seeing, because I don't think we're going to see a player like this ever again. Who is it, and what's the deep dive?
It is the king. It is Derrick Henry yet again. I think we've done a couple of these throughout the season on Derrick Henry, but once again, I just want perspective because now he's at the 18-game mark and he has gone over 2,000 yards. In fact, 2,107 in this entire complete season, regular and post. And it's just an incredible journey he's been on. And how incredible was he last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the better run defenses in the league? They literally ran the ball down Pittsburgh's throat. It was incredible to watch. It was just a battle of will, and they were just enforcing their will in the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. Receiving yards for Henry, yeah, sure, they're not the highest, but at the end of the day, man, we're looking at 20 touchdowns for Derrick Henry. 20 in 18 games. I mean, he is money. A great way to approach tonight. You don't worry. You think it's going to be close. You're worried about the Bills sneaking out a victory, or maybe the Ravens win. Just bet Derrick Henry's over on yardage and put it with an anytime touchdown scorer, and you're going to get in plus money, and just put 3 units on that. Because if there's one thing I can tell you, the Buffalo Bills don't have an answer on defense for Derrick Henry. If the Pittsburgh Steelers did not, the Buffalo Bills most assuredly do not and will not in this scenario. And Derrick Henry smells Super Bowl. I'm telling you right now, the Ravens are now plus 450 after this new board has emerged this morning. So now that the Lions are out of it, you got the Chiefs at plus 230, the Eagles at plus 260, the Ravens, at plus 450. 450 right now for the Ravens is a fantastic bet with the way Lamar's playing, with the way Derrick Henry's playing, the confidence that they have shown. Now, the defense still has some issues. So although they've played better, I think you have to take it with a grain of salt because the opponents that they've gone against have been lesser opponents offensively. Now they're going to get a real test with a real quarterback. My question to you, Matt Stryker, do you think that this new look Ravens defense that has been improved is ready for the test of Josh Allen?
Josh Allen is a special player. Like I said earlier, I think this is going to be your X's and O's game. This is going to be your true football purists, fans game. My only question is I cannot imagine in the coach's room in Buffalo that they are going to let Derrick Henry beat them. I understand it's like the Michael Jordan thing. Don't try to stop him, just hope to contain him. But I imagine there are schemes in place to do their best, I'm going to say it laughingly, neutralize Derrick Henry. Because if you neutralize Derrick Henry, you force Lamar Jackson to make plays, and then you force those anomalies to have to step up. The anomalies are the Zay Flowers and the Mark Andrews of the world and so on and so forth. So with that said, it's incredible to watch. And I don't know. I think it's going to be Buffalo in a close game.
All right. I think it's going to be Baltimore in a game where we're not biting our nails in the fourth quarter. That's what I think. I really do. I think that Baltimore's playing on a different level. I don't believe in the Bills defense. I believe in them far less than I believe in the Ravens defense, to be honest with you. And I think Lamar is tired of hearing all the, oh, he's good in the regular season, he's bad in the playoffs. Oh, he's not that good of a pass. I think the noise has gotten through, and I think the filter system is jammed up. And I think right now he is clearing out that paper jam, baby. Like he is clearing it out. He is restarting that printer, and he's about to print some money. And isn't it funny, Matt Stryker? Isn't it funny that, was it just 2 years ago? Lamar Jackson could have gone anywhere, right? And no teams really wanted to go and pay Lamar Jackson. Think about how stupid that sounds right now. Think about how many teams would kill to have Lamar Jackson. What an incredible fumble by the entire league, not chasing after this guy. You got Deshaun Watson getting historic guaranteed money, but nobody wanted to take a shot on Lamar Jackson? You got to be kidding me. You got to.
Why do you think that was?
I think that's going to be one of the. I think it's because the view of Lamar Jackson, to be honest, was, he's never going to make it as a passer in the league. He's a rushing quarterback with a great arm, but he's never going to develop into a true passer. You know what? It's a bunch of crap because he was better than just about anybody this year. You look at the stats, you look at the metrics, everything there is for Lamar. But it's a great question. Why is that? It's because people don't have imagination sometimes. They can only look at what one person's evaluation is and then copy and paste and copy and paste. And that's why you come here every Sunday, because these opinions are our own. There's no copy. There's no paste. Matt barely knows how to turn his computer on. You're getting real, authentic stuff here. That's what you come for at FST. That's why you stay on SportsGrid for all of that. And I hope you stay for hour 2. Because when we come back, we're going to take a look at the fantasy rookies of 2024 and see how they graded out all the dust settled on the season. Don't go anywhere. Hour 2 right around the corner.